Race. Let's send it down to the third member of our broadcast team, Aaron Bates, with a progressive pre-race report.
Another huge upset as far as the championship goes. You can see behind me the Rockstar Makita Suzuki team is vigorously working, trying to get this bike, to get it prepared, get it down on the line. Ryan Dungey is actually down on the start gate right now, but you can see his mechanic and the whole team, Mike Gosler. They have put it together, they have pulled it apart, they tried starting it again. At this point, they've got it back apart. They are working, doing everything they can. They still have a few moments to get this bike down onto the start line before it's too late. His entire family is here. They're looking. Michelle and Troy are watching in a look of disbelief.
Well, yeah, I don't remember ever a championship being possibly decided like this. There he is in the starting line. He has no idea what's going on.
Well, I have actually been in this position once before where I was on the line as the points leader and the bike did not make it. And it was, an ignition problem. Now, at one point, this bike was running. And then it stopped, and so they took it back apart, trying to figure out what's going on.
And Dungey, just no team, no bike. The entire crew is up there at the truck in the pits, and he's prepping his gate perhaps to not even race. The championship could be slipping away from the team right now. Speed coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world. By the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. And by RockyMountainMC.com, your one-stop shop for parts, apparel, and accessories. RockyMountainMC.com. Get ready. Get ready. Over here is the name of the game in the Rockstar Makita Suzuki pits. They are still trying to bolt Ryan Dungey's bike back together. They cannot get the engine running. There is your defending series champ. Only 4 points behind in the series. If he doesn't race this moto, championship could be gone, Jeff.
Yeah, it very well could be, and you can see the urgency. Ryan is looking on, where is my machine?
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, let's give you our track map brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F. Fully equipped and race ready. Jeff, take us on a tour.
I can tell you the track map that we have right now is one-dimensional. Once the riders hit the track after the gate drop, it is going to be very much be three-dimensional. And track is getting very wet. It's getting very rough. The soil here, when it gets really saturated, it becomes rutted as opposed to a nice, fluffy, sandy situation. So the bumps are going to form up much more of a choppy, small bump, square edge type of thing as opposed to a big, long sand whoop and rolling.
And we've also got rain coming down, although usually the story is that sand tracks hold up better with rain than a hard pack track. Is that the case here?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, this place can take a lot of rain, but where we will see a lot of water starting to collect is at the bottoms of certain areas. When there's like a G out down there, around the second turn, actually, we talked during the track walk that it could be a real problem area.
Right.
And through the old finish line area where there's those deep dips.
So we've got track conditions to keep an eye on, a very dynamic track that's going to change a lot, and of course the dynamic championship chase, which has changed considering that Ryan Dungey won our first moto earlier today and may not be able to compete in our second moto. They're taking the bike off the stand, and that is the mechanic, Mike Gosler. I believe that would mean they're ready to go down to the line. Is the bike running?
Yeah, the bike is running. Mike Gosler, of course.
Well, he's going to have to show some riding skills himself right now. He's going to hustle.
Get the machine down to the starting line. Possibly even Ryan could make the parade lap here. True sense of urgency here for Team Suzuki and Ryan Dungey and all the people involved in this, in this racing effort.
The parade lap is optional. The riders don't have to take it. So if Dungey doesn't complete this sight lap, that's not a problem. The issue is that he wasn't there with his bike on time when they selected their gate, so he will have the last gate selection. Explain that.
And also, Jason, we walked the gate during qualifying practice. I pointed out how when you are about the last 10 gates to the right, it cuts in so hard that it's a real funnel and a vortex going to the first turn. If your 10 gates are out, so if you're lining up 30 to 40, which is where Dungey will be, gate number 40, you really have no chance at getting the whole shot here. So this is going to drastically decrease his chances of getting a good start.
Unbelievable. Dungey has the bike. He's rolled down on the racetrack. He's ready to go racing. Now he's got to overcome the bad gate pick. And where is he at mentally at this point?
Well, the one thing that I believe that Dungey can count on is to rely on his team to know that, okay, if this bike is on the track and if they gave it to me, it's 100% ready to go race.
Right.
So I don't have to be weary. I don't have to question whether or not something's going to go wrong on the bike. You know, should I back it off? Should I check it out? But he does have the advantage of being able to go out now for the parade lap and get a feel for it and just build that extra little bit of confidence that, okay, I'm ready to go. He's going to need it because this gate pick is going to be a massive disadvantage for him.
Barcia in the lead right now over Brayton, Weimer, Villapoto, and Dungey, meanwhile, the rule was he had to get out on the track before the leader crossed the finish line, and he just made it out. So it's going to be wild here. The way this race is breaking down with Dungey just trying to come through the pack and just try to score some points. So there is Dungey, and like you said, Jeff, he's got to hope that bike is 100% because the worst thing that can happen in a motocross race is that that bike cuts out on the face of a jump or a situation like that, even on a rough straightaway, you're in big trouble. Meanwhile, Justin Barcia out front on a very, very sloppy racetrack. There is Justin Brayton in the number 2 position. And there it is, Barcia, Brayton. And this track, completely different than what we saw. You remember the highlights at the top of the show, the first moto? It looks nothing like that track. But Barcia being cheered around by the fans. He is a local favorite, not from Massachusetts, but from upstate New York. He has ridden here a lot. Jeff, you said the first time you ever saw Barcia ride was on this track.
Yeah, and it was a very similar situation. I was out here for a ride day. I jumped out on the track with all of the young kids on the 65s and 85s. And here was this kid, Justin Barcia, ripping around on this 85, and he was incredibly fast. Signed him to a deal at Shift the next day, and so far, I mean, since that day, he has just completely been one of the standouts of the sport.
Okay, so Brayton in second, you saw him. Jake Weimer's third, Villapoto fourth, and Les Smith in fifth. Barcia, unfortunately for him, not a factor for the overall win because his bike broke in moto number 1. So he didn't score any points there. He's pulling away from Brayton at least early. You see the countdown clock at the top of the screen. 25 minutes and 2 laps left in this one. So it's very early into a 30-minute and 2-lap race. But for the moment at least, Barcia, well, he's in position to win his first ever moto on a 450. And that's pretty good because it's only his second race ever on a 450. So Barcia's lead is 5.4 seconds on Brayton. Weimer third, Villapoto could be looking good for the overall and to make up points in the championship because he is running fourth early. We're trying to figure out where Dungey is. 39th when he came out after the gate drop. So Dungey, I guess at this point, his best hope would be to try to get into the top 20 and just score some sort of points.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and we apologize. We have some technical difficulties here. And
there is Weimer and Villapoto mixing it up. Sorry to interrupt, Jeff. That is a battle for third between the teammates, and the Suzuki behind them is Metcalf. So a 3-rider duel, third, fourth, fifth. Weimer on the 32. There goes Villapoto, who's already totally covered in mud. And then it's Metcalf right behind them.
Yeah, but you can see right now with Villapoto running up front, running second now at this point, you know, he surely would have known what was going on, even though he just needs to focus on his own race. What's going on with the Ryan Dungey, you know, before the beginning of this moto.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Meanwhile, it seems like every time we drop the gate in this series, you can count on a battle between the 32 and the 24. They seem to find each other every week. This week they find each other in a battle for fourth, with Villapoto in third, Brayton second, and Barcia in the lead. It's Metcalf and Weimer.
And you can see the riders, there's so much moisture on the track. Notice in these turns, Weimer makes a little mistake, and that allows Metcalf to make the pass.
And another update, Chad Reed, meanwhile, is in 34th with Dungey in 39th. So today, everything has been shaken up. If you're Ryan Villapoto, you just got to try to get that thing to the finish, and you're going to gain huge points today. Reed is a victim of a first-turn crash, and we already know about Dungey's troubles. Wild day today at Southwick. We got a battle on our hands here at Southwick in the rain, the mud, the sand. Brett Metcalf on the 24. Rockstar Makita Suzuki takes the spot away for the Monster Energy Kawasaki of Ryan Villapoto. That is for third place. Metcalf rides well at this track, but when you see someone overtake your series points leader Villapoto, you tend to think, hey, what's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Villapoto is riding the race within the race. His championship rivals, Chad Reed and Ryan Dungey, have had horrible luck today. If you're Villapoto, you're probably happy that you're just still running. Here's a replay of the pass, Jeff.
Yeah, watch Metcalf around the outside, and he was pretty loose. He got the hops, trying to drop down in there and take the inside line. See, Villapoto, at this point, he's being really smart about this. He knows that he doesn't need to get into a personal battle with Metcalf. He obviously has got the signal that there was problems with Dungey. Reed is already so far back that it is really not a factor in the championship now at this point. So he needs to just have a good, solid top 4, top 5 race and finish this moto. And he got a pretty substantial points lead by the time he leaves here.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're Ryan Dungey, you got to thank your teammate here, Metcalf, for at least taking a few points potentially away from Villapoto, but he's got to keep that bike upright. Obviously very deceiving how slippery this track is in spots.
Yeah, and if you notice in the sections where it gets really wet, that's where it's really starting to rut up. And what I mean by rut is rather than there being a line that's a foot or 18 inches wide of sand, like a fluffy sand turn, when you get where it's really wet, there'll be a rut that is literally only as wide as the rear tire, and the tire cuts in. Now, where it gets even more difficult, Jason, is where you get a wet section where it's just water all the way across, because there's actually ruts zigzagging under that, but you can't see that.
Dumbest Stuff on Wheels coming up. This is Jeff Emmig's favorite new show, I believe.
Yeah.
Dumbest Stuff on Wheels coming up Wednesday, 8 Pacific, or 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific on Wednesday. Dumbest Stuff on Wheels. It's an all-new episode. It's the downright outrageous situations, crashes, mishaps, craziest stuff you've ever seen caught on tape. So don't miss more painful lessons the hard way on an all-new Dumbest Stuff on Wheels.
Yeah, see, and what they do a good job with on that show is they mix it up, between sport bike riders and the kids on skateboards and cars and rednecks and all kinds of cool stuff going on.
I hate to insult these guys, but we might see some highlights from that show in this race. This track is so treacherous. These boys are just trying to do their best to keep the bikes upright and get to the finish. I believe that's got to be Ryan Villapoto's goal right now in 4th. Here is Weimer in 5th. Michael Lessie 6th. Les Smith 7th. Jacob Morris in 8th, Marshall and Dowd rounding out the top 10. Want to apologize for any technical difficulties we have. Of course, we are near the eye of the hurricane, and we're not talking Bob Hanna.